Hey guys, so today I am going to be talking to you about how I made my Overwatch Ana Captain Amari skin. This isn't going to be super detailed, as there were some pieces I forgot to just outright record, but you can find a link to the official work log in the description if you want to see more. But yeah, so essentially I started off with a bodysuit pattern because she wears a bodysuit underneath everything, and then just started piecing it together. This pattern was a simplicity pattern. It's can't remember which one, but in the beginning I pretty much just followed the pattern and started sewing it together. I liked how this one had a lot of lines and sections to it. It makes it look more military to me, and not just, you know, like a spandex bodysuit, because it has all those different lines and stuff. I was also very careful to pin everything together every step of the way, whereas usually I don't. But so now you can see how the front looks pinned to the back, and I made a little stencil for the black design that she has going down her sides. So you can see that I'm now making the front version. I then transfer that over to my fabric, and when I start cutting it out, I make sure to leave a seam allowance of about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. That way, you know, when I hem it, it doesn't look really janky or anything. Make sure you mirror this or reverse it when you do it for the other side. I had to do it twice because somehow I forgot. But yeah, so here I am pinning all the edges down. It takes a lot of pins, but I would rather it take a lot of pins than mess it up. So there you can see me pinning it onto the dress form and the bodysuit itself. I'm positioning it, making sure I like the way that it's currently laying. The front and back pieces are just one big piece, and once I like where it is, I just top stitched it right on top of the bodysuit with a very small zigzag stitch. That's kind of important because it's a stretchy material, and if you don't use some kind of a stretch stitch, it'll mess up. So the legs also have those black decorative pieces on them, so I just went and put it right on the pattern itself, since I'm not using the pattern for anything else, and then just cut it out. The one on the shin wraps all the way around the leg, whereas the thigh one is just on the top. So I taped together all the different pieces of the leg at the thigh and then cut out the designs the way that I wanted, so I just had one big pattern. And then I transfer it to my fabric. These you also want to make sure to leave an allowance if you want, or you can just, you know, have it be a little bit smaller and not leave an allowance. Totally personal preference. And just like before, I hemmed it and then top stitched it. Now we're into some of the armor bits. So I just kind of made a bunch of patterns that I thought would fit together correctly for all of the leg armors. And once I cut them out, I just went and sanded the edges that were really rough, and then I rounded the edges that are supposed to be, you know, rounded. For that part right there, I'm kind of creating a false slope in it. I guess it's not false. It's real by then. But then I take my heat gun to it and smooth down everything, and then bend it into the shapes that they need to be. It really doesn't take a long time, but be careful where you set your heat gun down. As you can see, I kind of made a special place for mine because it would fall into the ground or I'd burn myself. But then I covered all the edges that needed to connect with contact cement. Both sides that adhere have to have it. It's kind of like rubber cement, but I guess more industrial. So there's the thigh piece, and you can see the knee piece slowly being put together as well. I also label all my pieces so I don't mess them up. And now we're going to jump back into fabric, so I'm now starting on the jacket. the pattern I used was for like a fur necked coat. Not the best idea because fur is thicker and I still have problems with how my collar lays, but outside of that, I really like the rest of it. It was a lot of creating the bottom white chunk, measuring it out, and making sure that every other piece of the jacket had it in the same exact measurement. And then for the lining, I had to go back in and like re-add some of those lengths that I cut off in the past. So here's the collar. I cut into the pattern to get it into the shape I wanted, but like I said, it didn't entirely fit the way I wanted it to, so maybe using like a Magneto-ish type pattern would work better in the future. But now I'm piecing together her chest piece, which I patterned using my dress form and masking tape and plastic wrap, and just kind of drew on the different pieces I wanted. Can you figure out what I'm watching on Netflix? Give you a hint. It has night vision. Yeah, but it's just a lot of, or not origami, but it kind of reminds me of like the tediousness of origami. Yeah, so here we are, continuing to piece it together. It kind of reminds me of Orisa's head. like if you think about it, or maybe I'm just making stuff up, but I think it looks like Orisa's head. And then I forgot to do like the middle area where her little glowy light sits, so I had to kind of go back in and pattern out where that would sit. Oh, and forgot to mention this, all the foam that I use is 8mm or 4mm foam. Alright, and last part that I actually filmed is making the little chest light, and I've pretty much been using this method for everything. So I use fairy lights, and then I kind of twist them up so that they're not as spread apart, and I wrapped it around this dowel rod, which is the base of my light, and then I've been using that yellowy page divider type stuff, putting tissue paper over it to diffuse the light a little, and then wrapping that around whatever the fairy lights are over. See, it was too white, so I had to add like another layer of the yellow. But then it's gonna cut off before you actually get to see what it looks like finished, so sorry everybody if you want to see more. Like I said, there is a work log in the description if you would like to see the whole thing. So, hope this helped someone. Thanks for checking out the video. Stay miraculous.